Look, some movies are, they try to be good and are not great, or some movies try to be good and are bad. Some movies are just so bad that they're good, and then you have something like this, which is just like, I don't even, where do we start? Where do we start?
If you want to live, you have to trust me. Get ready. Now!
You're showing off.
Maybe a little.
And today we have Madam Web. And yes, I'm wearing a Batman shirt out of spite. DC out of spite of association with Marvel here. I don't even know how to rightfully do this review. I literally have the basics down and then just have kind of no notes, not in terms of it being good, but in terms of just I am just speaking from the heart on this one. This movie is such a conundrum. I have nothing further to add to the conversation that everybody else online unanimously has agreed to, but it is my creed. I shall speak on this movie briefly because I at least owe myself that, I guess. It's confusing because we got some good building blocks here in terms of who's involved in the project. We have a British TV director, she's primarily a British TV director, by the name of S.J. Clarkson. And honestly, in terms of experience and prior filmography, she's been involved and directed a few episodes of some shows that I really enjoy. She's worked on Jessica Jones in the past, which I love Jessica Jones, that was great. And you know what, for all of its flaws, when they finally brought together all the Netflix Marvel properties, she also helped to direct episodes of the Defenders. I thought the Defenders was I didn't love it, but I mean, you know. And in terms of the cast, I mean, this whole review is just going to be me laughing a lot, so feel free to skip this one. It's just, we have Dakota Johnson, and here's the funny part. So Dakota Johnson, she looks familiar, right? What she done. I tried to give benefit of the doubt, and I was like, well, I know what I know her from primarily, but what does IMDb say? Funny enough, IMDb is also you might know her from all the 50 Shades of Grey movies. So, I mean, yeah, technically I think she's most well known for her role in 50 Shades of Grey. To her credit, though, I'll give her a shout out because she does have a really good role in one of my favorite underrated films that not enough of you motherfuckers watched it enough. But she is in Bad Times at the El Royale. Again, highly recommend this movie. I love it. She's great in it. I mean, she's not the only one. I mean, granted, a large part of the marketing for very inappropriate reasons is Sydney Sweeney, and she's been getting a lot more roles these days, and from what I've seen in other more serious projects, she's also good. This is the crazy thing. I don't have a problem with any of these actors. I just have a problem with this film in general. And then talk about wasted talent, Adam Scott. I love Adam Scott. I love most of anything I see him in. He's doing the best he can with this. It's cool seeing him get a role in a Marvel film or associated with Marvel film, but what a tragic waste of that actor, you know? And then I know this man's got better in him, and I don't know what boondoggle happened to give us the performance that we got from him in this movie, but Tahir Rahim, I looked it up. He's been in such great things as recently Napoleon. He was in Napoleon, and he wasn't bad enough in that movie where I noticed it, because I barely noticed him. In this movie, man, we'll get to him in a moment. So Madam Web, pros. I have one note. It says, hilarious and entertaining in a bad way. Correct. And that's all I put. As for cons, I just put yes. Since the first trailer for this movie came out, and you had the delivery of, what was it? My mom in the Amazon forest.
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
The delivery for that whole thing happened. We're like, what's going on here? And just the movie just seemed, I don't know, you can kind of catch a vibe from movie trailers these days. We all knew what we were signing up for because this is an association with Marvel, and these are the same people that brought us, Morbius. And then, I mean, look, Venom, take it or leave it. I don't hate Venom. I enjoy the Venom films. Morbius, we've already memed and dunked on the vampire. Now this is coming up, and I'm always a fan of, women kicking ass in film and seeing like a star-studded cast or a full women ensemble, right? I liked Birds of Prey when it actually got to Birds of Prey-ing, but now we have a character that I knew nothing about, and you know what? I still don't know anything about her. This movie is terrible, dude. As you're watching it, you're like, there's no way this is happening right now. There's no way this film exists, and yet it does. And for me personally, I couldn't help but enjoy my experience. This film has not really anything for me in the way of redeeming qualities. The only redeeming quality being that it was so funny and entertaining for me because it's so stupid and inappropriate and asinine, and just, where do you begin? I mean, the first 5 minutes you can tell it has the weirdest, like, most antisocial, weirdly delivered line, cold open, like Chinese market Marvel ripoff version of a superhero thing combined with like a General Hospital, All My Children soap opera, like weird. How do you even describe this film, man? Its direction is, I mean, look, when people are just talking, sometimes the camera is safe and steady, and it's fine, sure, but heaven forbid action starts happening, and the camera starts flipping and turning and shaking. You know, in, what is it, Taken 2 or Taken 3? One of the Taken movies, there's the fence scene. Like 9 to 15 cuts for one scene of Liam Neeson hopping a fence. This movie does that with all of its action scenes. Rapid, frequent cuts, messy editing, weird camera movements, trying to be stylistic. It's a mess. Acting. I mean, people have made this argument about this facet of acting, and I've adopted this argument because I think it's a very good point. Hayden Christensen in Attack of the Clone, and you look at him in that, and there are some times where that line delivery is like about sand, right?
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
You could give Daniel Day-Lewis, man, give any random well-known actor those lines, and if the lines are bad, it doesn't matter who's saying them, they're gonna still sound bad. And I feel like that was a large, like, part of the case with this film, is you have a cast that's good, and they're trying their damnedest, but man, the script. And I think maybe they realized what they got involved into, and they knew it was too late, and there were contracts that had been signed, so sometimes they're just phoning it in. But you know what? I honestly don't blame them. I don't blame any of the actors for, like, they got sucked into this and they just trying their best to stay afloat. We can talk about how weird it is that you took Sydney Sweeney and made her into like try to turn this 26-year-old or whatever woman and like get her into the shy schoolgirl with the glasses and the skirt, and there's even an upskirt shot at one point, like briefly coming out of a subway. But we can talk about how weird that is, sure. We can talk about how our main character is the most apathetic, doesn't care about people, and is just like, oh yeah, well, I don't know what's going on here. This is so crazy. We need to focus. You guys are being crazy right now. Just not even exaggerating. Or my favorite, we can talk about the villain, the main villain of this film, who anytime that he's talking on screen, I am dying because his delivery.
My spider. They took my spider.
Dude, I talk to everybody and they think I'm exaggerating, but literally it's like, we have to find these spider women. We need to find them. I mean, how would you feel if you had a vision seeing yourself die every day? You are lucky you did not know you were going to die today as well. Maybe it was the editing, but all of his lines look like they're ADR. Like they dubbed after the fact, put over him, and not well. Line delivery is hilarious, and he gets just bodied left and right at every turn. He's not compelling at all. I didn't care. And I didn't really care about any of these characters, honestly. There's scenes when the cold open, they're in, like, her mom's in Peru doing something, and there's literally, like, scenes of these weird Peruvian spider people that descend upon her.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
When she's attacked. And I shit you not, they recycle the same scene at least 2 more times later in the film. You can't make this stuff up. All the delivery is just shockingly flat. It's just comically flat. It's nothing lands. This is such an awkward, weird movie where people just do things. Nothing that happens makes any sense.
I'm unwilling to accept a diagnosis of helplessness.
You did it. You did it. I never knew I was sick. The spider venom did have healing properties.
It's There's not really any Spider-Woman-ing stuff. It's not really, it's a superhero movie, and it's not until there's only a few minutes of superhero action. It's crazy. So a massive part of the marketing for this film wasn't even Dakota Johnson as Madam Web. It was showing like Sydney Sweeney hidden upside down and the other two girls flanking her with their, you know, kind of iron spider suit and the different powers and all that. And that's not the film. It's not the film. They're just people. They don't even have their powers yet, because the bad guy had like a vision of the future, and he's like, these girls, at some point, these girls are going to come into my nice condo downtown and they're going to kill me. I need to find these girls before this happens. The things of them in their spider sonas, for lack of a better term, they're literally 2 dream sequences that each last less, like 30 seconds or less. Like, that's it. This movie isn't a superhero movie. It's not. It's a movie about Dakota Johnson being a trauma EMS nurse who does not care about people. And after a random accident that somehow like conks her brain into this weird, I can see things ahead of time now. They never really fully explain it, by the way, like how, like what her powers are, what, clairvoyance maybe, or being able to, I don't know, I didn't see the comics. I was hoping the movie would guide me along this journey, but no, they never explain what her powers are, how they fully work. She doesn't really know either. So as she gets these powers, she randomly sees, oh, these girls are gonna be, they're in trouble, they're gonna be killed if I don't intervene, and then she does, and they're like, what's going on? And she's like, I don't know, stop following me. No, wait a second, the state of New York thinks I kidnapped you. Keep following me, but I'm gonna abandon you in a forest, and then I'm gonna go. There's just so many stupid things happen in this film, and a lot of it is just like misadventures in babysitting, really. Like it's nonsensical what happens in this film. The music is unforgettable, the action is unforgettable. From what I heard, I don't know how much validity there is to any of this, but I've heard rumors and some articles, and some friends and I have talked, and apparently there's supposed to be more involvement. First they were gonna say, oh, it's gonna combine with like Tom Holland's Spider-Man's universe. That got scrapped. It was gonna be Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man universe, and that got scrapped. And apparently that's maybe part of why the editing and the story and the everything in this film doesn't make a lick of sense. It doesn't compute. It's because all of this stuff was supposed to happen and didn't, and got rewritten and reshot and re-edited and cut, and they just probably used some CGI stuff and reskinned it so it was this evil spider guy instead. If I had to venture a guess, it was doomed from the word go. The production cycle of this film is just a complete, utter mess. I can't even say it's like a mediocre, average superhero movie, because at least that would imply that there's a modicum of quality control and that it succeeds in doing what it sets out to do. This film does not succeed, in my opinion, in any of what it set out to do. The only thing it succeeded in is just being so oddly just bad that it's still entertaining. I am not even exaggerating to you. The last 5 minutes of this film, right as the credits rolled, I was laughing so hard, I was crying. There we go. Like, I was crying in my seat, not tears of joy or of sadness, just out of confusion and hilarity, because this film is absolutely ridiculous. Here's the crazy part. Most people would want to take this out back, shoot it in the back of the head, and then bury it under the prison or whatever. Part of me just wants to share it. I almost want to like have watch parties for this, and people online are saying the same thing. IGN called it like, oh, it's going to be a sleepover film, or it's going to be like one of those you get drunk and you watch it. I kind of have to agree. I wouldn't compare it to something like The Room or Who Killed Captain Alex, because those are actually good movies. It's something that's such an oddity in execution and how it ended up panning out, that it must simply be watched and studied. Only out of scientific curiosity should you venture into this film. Maybe you watch it once, but only with people. My masochistic ass, I might revisit it multiple times in the future. This makes Morbius look like a Oscar winner. It's like Schindler's List. Morbius is actually a really good movie in comparison to this. Wait for this to stream and then just like rip into it at home. But this was such a odd experience. It made me laugh till I cried. I still, funny enough, had like a bad fun time. So I got a really weird rating for this one. This might be the lowest rating I've ever given a movie on my channel, I think. Normally I don't give movies this low of a rating because movies most often that I watch and review at least function properly on a baseline level. But this film is so utterly broken from its foundation up and only works in a farcical sense that I would give Madam Web a a high 1 out of 5. And I only give it a high 1 because I only have a partial grudge against the director. I'm sure there were many, many studio constraints and she was doing whatever she possibly could in her power. But I hold a grudge against everything else in this film. It's a film you either hate watch, you don't watch, or that you watch for a laugh. But it is definitely not good, and it's one of the worst films of the year so far. And if you were to put it on again in front of me, I don't think I'd be able to look away again. It's all I gotta say. Thank you guys and gals so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode wherever I do. I promise you it'll be better than this. Goodbye, travelers.